It seems like just yesterday that we started Pop Fiction, but believe it or not, the series has been running for just over 3 years now. We're entering the 4th season of this show, and we wanted to say thank you for all of your support. Without passionate fans that spend countless hours combing over their favorite games, the show wouldn't exist. As we enter the 4th season, we hope to continue to bring these myths and secrets to light for fans both new and old. Much of the previous season focused on myths that ultimately boiled down to glitches. We felt it was time to look into something that didn't rely on clipping through walls, swapping cartridges, or other tricks of a similar nature. Instead, we wanted to find something that was likely an intentional secret, hidden by the developers as a reward for fans that go the extra mile long after others have given up and either passed their games along or allowed them to collect dust on the shelf. Earlier this year, there was a thread on GameFAQs created by a user named the Kusabi regarding the PlayStation 1 classic Final Fantasy IX. The Kusabi posted that he came across information pertaining to a hidden quest in the RPG, something that eluded the massive Final Fantasy fanbase for over a decade. It involved the Nero family found in the town of Lindblum. When questioned about how he came across this new discovery, the Kusabi claimed he simply read about it in a Japanese-only guide for the game, the Final Fantasy IX Ultimania. By now, you know the drill. We dug up a copy of Final Fantasy IX and set off to see if one final quest awaited Zidane and his band of heroes. The Kusabi, with the eventual help of other fans, laid out the instructions for triggering this quest in detail. At the beginning of Disc 4, there's a seemingly random cutscene triggered at that Tantalus hideout located in Lindblum, involving 2 NPCs, named Nero and Nero. The 2 are actually part of a larger family, the Nero family. However, this scene is apparently the trigger for a longer sequence of events. In order to continue the quest, you need to next head to Memoria and advance forward until you either encounter a boss or a cutscene. Whenever you encounter either of these conditions, you need to return back to the Tantalus hideout, where you'll supposedly see a cutscene play out each time with a new family member. If you successfully repeat this enough times, the guide claims you're rewarded with a special item. After reaching Disc 4, we approached the Tantalus hideout as instructed, triggering the cutscene with Nero and Nero. When we entered Memoria, we made our way to the boss battle with the Nova Dragon. Once it was vanquished, we returned back to the Tantalus hideout, where another cutscene played out. This time, an NPC named Nero came out wondering where Nero and Nero went. We repeated the process of entering Memoria to fight a boss or watch a cutscene, and then returning to the Tantalus hideout 7 more times, when something different finally happened. Zidane commented about the large size of the Nero family. When we entered the hideout this time, there was an unopened chest in the bottom left corner. Opening it revealed its hidden prize, a Protect ring. The item can be found via other means, but this is easily the most obscure way to obtain it. One interesting thing to note is that if you go back to Memoria and fight a boss or watch another cutscene, you can return back to the Tantalus hideout to see the same cutscene with Nero and Nero we witnessed at the start of the quest. The quest apparently restarts after completing it, but there's one catch. According to the Ultimania, there are only 17 events that advance the Nero family side quest. However, since it takes 9 events to complete it, it's impossible to complete the side quest a second time. Here are some of the advancement points in the side quest. The boss encounter with Malorus. The flashback of Alexander. A scene where Zidane talks to himself. The flashback of Dagger on the boat. A scene with a giant eye in the sky. The boss battle with Tiamat. The scene with the 2 planets colliding. As amazing as this find is, what's more amazing is the story behind its discovery. We reached out to the Kusabi to get the full story behind the unearthing of this hidden quest. The Kusabi explains that he typically only reads books, guides, and forums for the games he's currently playing, preferring to focus in on that one experience as much as possible. He had decided to replay Final Fantasy IX for the first time in years, and was digging into the supporting materials for the game, which included the Japanese-only Ultimania. It was then that he read within its pages the description for the lost Nero family side quest, but to his surprise, none of the guides he came across made a mention of this side attraction. That is when he approached a user on the GameFAQ boards called Atomos199, a gamer described as being proficient in something known as the perfect game. A perfect game is a method of playing through a game which involves obtaining everything possible. This means you can't miss any items, side quests, or any single thing the game has to offer. The Kusabi figured if anyone had heard of this hidden quest, it would be Atomos199. However, even he hadn't heard of this. The Kusabi sat on his discovery for a few weeks before approaching the general Final Fantasy IX board on GameFAQs, where he shared his findings. Not surprisingly, those who replied initially had no clue about the quest. However, there was one small issue. The Kusabi hadn't actually verified that the information within the Ultimania was correct. He assumed the guide was correct, but even for him it was hard to fathom that not a single fan had uncovered this mystery in over a decade. That's when a GameFAQs user named Mr. Pixel began to test out the steps outlined by the Kusabi, posting his findings as he progressed through the game. In the end, he claimed the steps worked. Shortly thereafter, a user named Garland the Great further supported the claim with video evidence chronicling the lost Nero family quest, finally putting the speculation to rest. The Final Fantasy IX Ultimania was released over a decade ago, so Japanese players have known about the quest's existence for some time now. Yet it remained unknown to legions of Western fans. It's hard to believe that this information remained a mystery to those living outside of Japan, because the Final Fantasy community is usually on the ball about translating Japanese materials into English. The truth is that sometimes obscure information like this gets lost in the mix. Perhaps at one point a long-lost fan site or forum post actually contained the details of this side quest, but the knowledge faded from memory. Or equally as likely is that the quest's existence wasn't as important as some of the other information found in the Ultimania, and was neglected. Typically, Square Enix fans are eager to get their hands on these guides in order to learn information regarding upcoming sequels or projects, or a more thorough development history for their favorite games. Regardless, this goes to show that despite thinking you know everything about a game, there's always something more you can learn about them. Whether it's through guidebooks, interviews, or players combing through every line of code, there are countless new discoveries waiting to be made about our favorite classics.